finally we are doing this.
The story goes long. I don't know from where to start, but then when I passed my 10th grade, getting the first work is very difficult. I didn't knew to speak the local language then. I was not fluent in Gujarati as I am now.
Correct.
But I realized that Gujarati is the language of business, not just in Gujarat, globally. From the client side, the moment they engage a forensic professional, they think that the forensic professional should find a fraud.
Hello everyone and welcome to Coffee with CA with me, your host Sheena Barwani. Today on the show we have CA Durgesh Pandey, a forensic accounting specialist. So let's get started as we understand what this niche is all about and also learn how he has been training around 20,000 people across the globe. So grab a cup of coffee as we get into his journey. Hello Durgesh sir, really nice to have you over here and finally we are doing this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting, and yes, finally we are doing this.
Yes, so my first question to you would be, you've gone through so much with your accounting journey, right? Right since like making the decision to start off with or start your career in accounting. What made you make that decision?
So, I mean, the story goes long. I don't know from where to start, but then, when I qualified when I passed my 10th grade, then we have options of science and commerce. Way back then when we were there, humanities was not an in thing then. So we had science and commerce, and then somehow I didn't get such good marks that my school would have admitted me in science stream.
Okay.
So commerce was not a choice. I was forced to take up on commerce. I started commerce, and then after say about 20 days, I again got a call from my principal who said that a seat in science stream has opened up.
Okay.
And if you want, you can join science stream. But I said, no, I'm happy with commerce.
Okay.
So it started from there. And then I was a good student, had a nice academic career. And once you're good in commerce, you're supposed to do CA. That is the natural choice.
Yeah.
We were not the sales type or the IM material.
Correct.
I don't know. I still believe I was not then. So CA was the natural choice. And then that is how I did my chartered accountancy course.
Okay, that's nice. So you graduated in 2008, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, my graduation, so as we say, the BCom part, that I did in 2002.
Correct.
CA I did, yes, CA I did as such, CA I did in 2008.
Yeah, that's nice. So as soon as you've completed your CA, what was your state of mind at that point of time? Whether you wanted to go into practice, or whether you wanted to start working somewhere else or get into the service sector?
The course CA in itself is so intense that once you qualify CA, earning becomes your priority.
Correct.
That is why most of us, we look industry as a secure job, getting salary from the very first day. Practice is difficult. Practice is arduous. It takes time. But somehow, staying in Gujarat and studying in Gujarat, that entrepreneurial mindset
is always there.
Yes, that probably it overshadowed my fear of not getting regular income. So that is how I thought, no, it's good that I should start practicing.
Okay.
And then I started practicing right from the very first day since I qualified.
Okay.
So as such, I have not prepared a resume for work in my career. God has been kind enough that I can say this.
That's nice. That's nice. So when you started your practice, what hardships did you face at that point of time?
Oh, there are too many to discuss in a short period. But,
the top two which
Gina, see, the biggest struggle when you start a business is that it is just like any other consulting practice. It is just like any other new business.
Yeah.
So, to start with, I thought that the month is only of 10 days or 15 days because you pay one salary, one bills, and then the next salary and bill is on your head. So you feel that the month has shrunk to 15 days. So getting the first work is very difficult. Then I always had that zeal, because the conventional accounting and audit practice is cluttered, was cluttered, and we had too many people. So coming from a city like Ahmedabad, we had a lot of firm which was second generation, third generation into this. So when you try to compete with them, when you try to solicit business, and it's very difficult to get business when you are put against them.
Makes sense, because it's like competing, like them competing with a big force.
Yes.
It's the same way like a new firm competing with them.
Yes. So we had to think of engine ways, new techniques, to a new practice domain, unexplored practice domain. And back then when I started, it was not, the field was not as open as it is today.
Correct, yeah.
So the biggest challenge is landing clients. I didn't knew to speak the local language then. I was not fluent in Gujarati as I am now.
Correct.
But I realized that Gujarati is the language of business. Not just in Gujarat, globally.
Correct.
It opens a market beyond Gujarat. For people in Africa, particularly in East Africa. We have a high proportion of Gujarati businessmen. US and UK, we have a lot of Gujarati businessmen. If you speak the language, you connect better with them.
Correct, yeah.
And I'm talking about the first generation, second generation migrants, those who went there, they still speak the language. So probably the kids now, their kids now, they may not be as fluent in Gujarati. They have studied in those schools. But then people who have migrated from here, or who were born here and then they have gone, for them language plays an important role. So I studied the language. So I mean, I would say the top struggle was to get business. Coming from a non-conventional family. And
you're the first generation.
Yes. It's not just I'm the first generation. So I come from, my native is in UP. I come from a city in Uttar Pradesh called as Gorakhpur. So their commerce education itself is not very prominent.
Understood.
So either we have sciences, or we have the humanities as arts, it is called then. And then the strongest career choice for us is appearing for the civil services examinations.
Understood.
That is the natural career for us. In fact, I lost my father early in my life. Otherwise, he had a very strong ambition of seeing me as a bureaucrat.
That's nice. So, since you mentioned about your struggles, how did you discover forensic accounting and auditing as your forte?
So, Gina, as I say, the discovery was not as evident as it is now. We get wise in the hindsight. But then so if you'll notice, this struggle of getting work was there very early in the career. And then I was not very comfortable with the way things used to work, because we have to listen to the client, listen to the government officer, we have to act as a bridge between them, do the work. Somehow I was not comfortable with that work.
You wanted something different.
I wanted something else, something different. At the same time, I also wanted something which accelerates my career and propels me into a known name.
Understood.
So I was trying to explore various things which had a niche, which were not explored then. And researching on the internet, finding something. Somehow I stumbled across the American Qualification of Association of Certified Fraud Examiners and CFE credential. And I qualified in 2008. So 2010 or 2011 or probably 2012. I don't remember the exact year. But since then, I started tracking as to what this Certified Fraud Examiner qualification is, what they do, what is the area of work, what is the business potential. That I started exploring since 2011, 2012. So I started then, and then I thought this is a new area. relatively unknown in India. In fact, it was not very popular there in US as well when I am talking about.
Okay.
But
so it was fairly new.
Fairly new. I tried to do a search of the qualified CFEs. They have a on the portal. They have a search function. So I tried to do a search of the qualified CFEs in Gujarat. I could find only one gentleman who qualified. So I thought this is a good course and let me do that. So that was my foray into forensics. And it is like in a city like Ahmedabad, it is you swim in a tank filled with sharks.
Yeah.
So till the time you don't discover something new for yourself, you will always have that fear of being what? No one in that crowd. So in order to become someone, in order to be rewarded financially, it pushed me to explore something new, and that is how I zeroed down on forensics.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. So, how does one get into forensic apart from the examination?
I understand. So, now the field is fairly developed.
Okay.
We have qualifications. We have a qualification given by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India as well, which is pretty popular.
Correct.
Very good. In fact, we have classroom sessions as well. So, structured education is there. And now, the most important thing is that the importance of forensic professional is now being appreciated by most of the stakeholders.
Okay.
So, whether you have clients, whether you have judicial authorities, whether you have lawyers and counsels who are arguing the case, whether you have law enforcement agencies, all of them, they now understand the importance of having a forensic professional, having a forensic accountant to help them dissect the case. So the awareness and the need has increased significantly. Yes, drastically it has increased. So because of this need, there's vacancy.
Correct.
And the education has become formalized.
Okay, understood. Yeah, makes sense, because as the need increases, automatically, people will want to get educated in that field as well.
Yes.
Why is the need increased, if I can ask you?
So see, frauds are as old as human being. In fact, they're as old as business. So it's not that the need has increased overnight. It is that the quality of investigation, evidence discovery,
correct,
these have gained importance. So earlier, when you had a financial dispute between, say, two business partners,
correct,
and then there was some angle of criminality. Of course, a financial dispute comes under civil jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But then probably when there was a fight, or when one of the partner stole money, they used to go to conventional law enforcement.
Okay.
Now, in that conventional law enforcement domain, the concerned law enforcement officer was not professionally trained to read the books, to understand the books, and then to discover evidences and to present that to the court of law. I mean, logical conclusion was not possible.
Okay.
Now, this realization has started coming in the past 5, 7, 8, probably 10 years at the max, I would say.
Yeah.
And I have seen the field grow in front of my own eyes. We have got a lot of structures, frameworks, policies, standards done. So I've seen that. So this awareness that yes, a chartered accountant can help me unravel this mystery and financial maze, this realization has come. Thereby, we have a lot of potential and a lot of work.
That's nice. So you also helped ICAI develop forensic standards.
Yes.
How did that happen?
So I was part of the expert group which framed the standards. In fact, the standards are an achievement for ICAI. Telling that I helped would not be a correct sentence. In fact, I was part of the team. All of us were part of the team.
Correct.
And then the leadership was very, leadership was very, they wanted to do something. See, I'll tell you, this practice is not regulated.
Correct.
The forensic investigation practice is not regulated. One need not be a chartered accountant to do a forensic investigation.
Okay. All right.
So there's a huge regulatory gap. Now, if you don't have a regulator for something, then you can do it, I can do it. We don't have a set of procedures. Nothing was there. So I was chasing the leaders, our leaders. I was telling that let us come up with some sort of white paper,
framework,
some sort of document. And the leadership was kind enough to take this as a task. And of all the bad things that came out of COVID, this is a good thing that came out of COVID.
Okay.
The ICAI, they constructed a team in the model of hub spoke.
Correct.
So we had around huge number of potential. I don't want to state the numbers because I'll be wrong quoting them. But then we had huge number of professionals volunteering their time.
Okay.
Coming every Wednesday or every Thursday, we used to have weekly meetings for 2 hours, 3 hours, including the entire ICAI leadership team.
Yeah.
And we used to draft, we used to discuss, and we came up with these 20 odd standards, which are reshaping how work is done. And then we are the first body to have such an extensive standards. So there are certain bodies, the Canadian Institute, the American Institute, the Australian Institute. In fact, I did a research on them. So they do have standards, but then those standards are not as comprehensive and as detailed as we have for ICAI. So that is how it came, and then it's helping the professionals.
So, sir, you were part of the core committee for forensic accounting and developing the entire standards and all of it over there. How can someone who is does not have easy access to ICAI or any of these certifications, how can they gain knowledge?
So, Gina, we you've put a nice question. We can have two parts of that. One is knowledge, one is certification. So knowledge, I believe with the YouTube era, there's a democracy of knowledge.
Correct.
You have knowledge for everything.
Okay.
In fact, I have published several courses, and there are several courses which are available at fraction of cost, probably free, where you can have those. Again, if we talk about the standards, these standards are an open resource which are available to anyone and everyone. That person need not be a chartered accountant to access the resource.
All right. Okay.
So, like all standards, these standards are mandatory to be used by a chartered accountant, to be followed by a chartered accountant. But any other person who's not a chartered accountant can definitely use those standards, learn from those standards, because it is the benchmark and best practice.
Yeah.
So that is one part. Now let us come to the certification. For the certification, if we talk, of course, ICAI has its own certification, but then that is again restricted to only chartered accountants.
Correct, yeah.
Other than that, now we have various universities in India. We also have various educational platforms where this forensic education is being offered and where you can get certification. So you have a blend of knowledge and certification both, and it is open to everyone.
All right. Okay.
But still, there's one caveat. Of course, we have a lot of professionals who are non-chartered accountants who are doing this. But the only caveat that I have here, or rather I would not say even caveat, the only advantage that chartered accountants have here, the practice itself is called as forensic accounting.
Correct.
So the moment if something has accounting, chartered accountants
will be put at the forefront.
They have that edge, I would say.
Yeah.
They have that edge over all other professionals, because it is, our not even bread and butter, it is lifeblood for us.
It's like oxygen.
Exactly, it is like oxygen. I mean, I couldn't have put better than what you put. It is like oxygen for us.
Yeah. During this entire tenure of your experience with forensic accounting, you've also trained multiple officers across the globe, I would say, rather than just India. What has your experience been?
Oh, it's wonderful. I would say that the more officers are trained, the more awareness we have about this field,
Correct.
For such law enforcement officers, judiciary, officers of various cadre, the more quality investigation will happen.
Correct.
And dispensation of justice would be more efficient.
Yeah.
Now, chartered accountants getting work or any professional getting work in this domain is a byproduct of that.
Correct, yeah.
Because ultimately, we want that justice should be served.
Yeah.
Now, if there is a dispute, if there is an economic offense, if there is a financial crime, the law enforcement officers or law enforcement agencies that we have, not just in India, globally, they are generalist. They don't understand the nuances of finance. So, imagine a case where a bank has lodged a complaint that money has been taken from India to a foreign jurisdiction. And 3 layers or 4 layers or 5 layers of companies have been created, holding company, subsidiary of the subsidiary, step down subsidiary, step up subsidiary. Multiple layers of companies are there. Now, because the law enforcement officers are not trained, how do you expect them to unravel this maze, unravel this mystery?
Yeah.
So for that, you need somebody with a thorough and sound accounting knowledge. This is where the chartered accountants comes in, and we help the officers. We also train. When I say we, I go with various agencies, and in personal capacity as well, I have trained multiple law enforcement agencies and officers, as you said, across the globe, so that the quality of investigation that becomes better.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the goal of Government of India is that conviction rate should be better. When we say conviction rate, that means people who are charge sheeted, it should end into conviction.
Correct. Yeah.
Because the police is investigating with a premise that some wrong has been done.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, if that doesn't ends up in conviction, that means something wrong has happened. Yeah. Of course, it is for the judiciary to decide who has done what. But if it is a criminal offense, if the investigation has been done thoroughly, then it should end up in conviction, and then it is Government of India's thrust that the conviction rate should increase. Correct. By using scientific evidence. And these are irrefutable evidence. These are not your words against mine.
Yeah.
These are scientific evidences. These are documentary evidences which cannot be refuted by anyone.
That's nice, sir.
So this helps. This helps.
So you've also written a book, authored a book, Basis of Forensic Accounting.
Yes.
That's nice. So I feel like you're really passionate about, spreading the word around, saying that, hey, this crime can be avoided if you do this properly.
So, this book, if I would say, it is, Gina, I practice in disputes, and I have a complete ecosystem, I would say. Correct. So the book was part of, because I was part of the standards, and I felt that the standards that has been written by ICAI, of course I was part of the drafting team, but then those are ICAI standards.
Correct, yeah.
The standards that is published by the ICAI, they are very high level standards.
Yeah.
So high level standards as in, they don't say how, they don't say how things are to be done.
Correct, yeah.
So there was a gap. For somebody who's entering into the profession, who got his first case, he can read the standard, but he really doesn't know how to reach there. So he needed those
fill in the blanks.
Yes, those fill in the blanks, those processes, those procedures. That made me write the book. I wrote that book, Forensic Foresight, and the book has been received well. In fact, a popular university in Ahmedabad, they made it as a mandatory textbook for their master's course. Yeah. And then the book is getting good reception. I'm happy.
That's nice. That's nice, sir. So your passion is really coming in the forefront right now and getting all the light that it's required.
Yes, God has been kind. Probably, I can't complain. It indeed is getting attention.
That's nice, sir. So that brings us to the end of this particular segment. I'm on to our next segment, which is called Beyond the Balance Sheets. So every CA has a fun side or a fun aspect to which they would we would want to showcase that aspect over here. So I'm going to use my phone for that. Pardon me for it. I have few questions which I've already prepared. So my first question is, you've trained officers from around 30 plus countries. Any funny or unexpected moments during one of your sessions?
Oh yes, I had a wonderful experience where we had some officers from I would not name the country, but then it was a Arabic speaking country.
Okay.
So I had a batch of around 20 officers. None of them knew English.
Okay. So
and I never knew Arabic.
Correct.
And this was not in the era of AI where I speak some language, you understand something else. So it was a 3-hour session where I used to speak something. Then they had an interpreter.
Okay.
That interpreter used to announce it in the class.
Okay.
Then they used to say something. Then he or she used to tell me.
Correct.
That was a new experience, I would say.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Different
Very different, very different. I mean, the entire class, nobody knows what I'm telling.
Yeah. What's your go-to comfort food after cracking a tough case?
A food?
Yeah.
I am a diehard foodie.
Okay.
And go-to food, I love biryani.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have very good biryani available in Ahmedabad.
Okay.
So I still have to bank on the Hyderabadi biryani. Okay. Fortunately, I travel a lot.
So you get to eat.
So I get to eat. I like cooking as well. Okay. So probably, I would say, I don't have a go-to food, but I do have a go-to hobby that I like to cook after a long day. I don't mind cooking that. The only problem is that my wife doesn't like that because she has to stay with me during the time of cooking. So she's not very happy about this passion of mine.
That's nice. So if not a forensic accountant, what profession do you think you would have chosen?
Oh, definitely law.
Law.
Yes.
You like law and enforcement?
I do like law and law enforcement. So probably from the litigation side as well, I have a reasonable command over language. Yeah. I try to put forth my point nicely. So law would have been a career of choice.
That's nice. So what's your most detective-like thing you've done outside of work, like solving a mystery or finding something hidden?
Outside of work, I'm not supposed to be detective. Life will become difficult, Gina. You cannot be detective, and I do so much detective work in detective activity in my work itself. Yeah. That I don't want to try that outside work. I keep all those.
Sherlock's hat.
Yes. Yes. I would keep those restricted to my office. Otherwise, life will become very difficult.
That's nice. My last question is: what's one misconception about forensic accounting that you love to debunk in the most quirkiest way possible?
So, Gina, one experience that you said, one myth rather, which should be debunked. There's a very strong myth from the client side, I'll say. Yeah. From the client side, the moment they engage a forensic professional, they think that the forensic professional should find a fraud. Okay. If they are engaging a forensic professional, he or she should find a fraud. Now, it doesn't happen that always. Yeah. In most of the engagement, we may not find a fraud. I mean, it always starts with a suspicion. Correct. And then the moment we say that, sir, there is no fraud here. So then, then they have that feeling that you did not find the fraud and then we have to pay you. Yeah. So I give them, it is like an analogy that, you go for a diagnostic test, rather you go for an X-ray. Correct. And you pray to God that I should have a broken rib. Only then you'll get worth of the X-ray. Understood. Yeah. The doctor will charge irrespective of whether you have a broken bone or not. Yeah. It is the same thing for us. We did our job. Your business was robust enough. A fraud did not happen. You should be happy about it. Exactly. On the contrary, you should be happy that there's no fraud. Correct. It's ironic how people feel sad about it. It is. I mean, they have that thought process that, oh, we wasted this money on the professional. There's no fraud in my business. That's nice, sir. So thank you for this, and thank you for patiently answering all my questions. Oh, thank you, Gina. Thank you so much for inviting me, having me over. Yeah, we're really happy that you shot this episode with us. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.